I say to people, whatever your problem is, come to me. I'll triage it and I'll get you to the right guy.
Hey, Brian Miller here, and welcome to Season 3 of Beyond Networking. This year, we're doubling down on the question, how do you build a sustainable career in an increasingly unpredictable world? It'll come as no surprise to longtime listeners that we believe the answer is in meaningful connections.
And the other big thing to remember, of course, is that you're there to give a gift. I mean, it's not about you anyway. That's always the case, whether it's, again, a one-to-one conversation or you're standing on stage in front of thousands of people. It's not about getting approbation, getting affirmation, being loved, respected, admired, and all that stuff. It's about giving a gift.
So I think partly that's our job in education, is to build up those skills for students and enable them to get comfortable with things like collaboration, but like really get comfortable with it. It's not easy to collaborate. It's not easy to put your ego on hold while somebody kind of massages your idea and makes it more their own, and to have that back and forth dialogue where you can, communicate effectively.
If you weave a network of people who trust you, who feel heard, understood, and valued in your presence, there will always be someone willing to hire you, buy from you, or work with you.
It feels good to me. And if it feels good to you, you'll have a better energy about you. You make somebody's day, and you never know where it'll lead, but it could lead somewhere great. But more importantly, it'll nourish you as a person. And people, being a friendly person, being a kind person, that makes you live a better life, I think. And so, but it'll also help your business, and it'll help your networking, because people want to do business with nice people, and you'll see the benefits of that. You may not see it right away, but you're planting seeds everywhere, and at some point you'll come back to it, and there's a bouquet.
We're kicking off this season with a handful of world-class guests sharing their insights on human connection, building sustainable careers, and leveraging the power of networking.
I'll have the conversation and say, while we need to find a way to work together, you and I personally we don't seem to mesh well. So knowing that, I'd like to have a really honest dialogue with you. How can we coincide together and make this a successful partnership? And usually when you have a conversation like that, you can kind of move away from negativity, improve the relationship. Sometimes in my career, that's been a pivotal moment for me. And I've, actually ended up friends with the other person.
Along the way, you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at these legends and leaders' true stories of how they built their success.
We don't just sell the show. We sell the show. We perform the show. We write the show. We critique the show. We edit the video for the show. It's literally like 12 jobs rolled up into one, plus you have to travel a lot. So it definitely created some rocky family environments that I'm happy to say that, I made it through. I have 4 kids now, same wife, happier than ever.
I love that you threw in same wife.
It's true. And a lot of people in showbiz, it's fun. It's like a cliche. They get married, they enter show business, they divorce, and then they get remarried to someone else in show business.
And one of the things, the number one thing you learn is what kills a marriage, mostly. A variety of things do, but the number one thing in my view and what I've learned is empathy, lack of empathy. And the way that manifests itself, and this is the story I tell, is somebody says to you, hey, you say, hey, we're going to my folks for Christmas Eve dinner. And your wife says to you, I don't really want to go there. Your dad doesn't pay attention to me. They belittle me, or whatever they say that. And you say, oh, what are you, crazy? Like, everyone loves you. Forget it. You sort of downplay that instead of saying, oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I didn't know that. Like, how do we got to figure out a way through this. Like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Tell me what he does. Do you think it'll be helpful if we sat down with him? That's the difference between marriages that can last and marriages that fall apart.
He basically greeted us and said, you're going to learn this poem, which happened to be Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken, and you're going to learn to juggle, and you're going to perform the two simultaneously in front of your grade 8 peers. And we just about died. Like, I don't think there's anything more frightening for a grade 8 student, you're 12, 13 years old, than potentially failing in front of your peers. So he was one who taught me about, he would say, just have to fail gloriously if you're going to fail. So he taught us about failure.
plus actionable advice for anyone, but young professionals in particular, on how to build a career and life that you are proud of.
And I think a quality of attention which is invaluable now is curiosity. Curiosity with compassion, really. I mean, the combination of arrogance and a kind of numbness or distraction. Arrogance and distraction is a terrible combination. And it's unfortunately a very common one now.
And of course, every guest shares their story of a chance encounter with lasting impact. Almost always a story they've never told before in public.
It's one actually where I still harbor a little bit of shame around it, but I think it's a healthy dose, so it's okay. It's
I'm
humbling.
so excited.
Who made this food? This food is exceptional. Lights out good. She says, it's Chef Tyler Anderson. I said, really? I said, well, can I meet this guy? She says, well, sure.
I guess my perspective is I'm not waiting for that lucky moment. I'm seeking the lucky moment. I'm like, if you hid something behind a million doors, I'm not just going to randomly open a few doors here and there. I'm going to open every one of those million doors.
And I'll never forget, I was at an event. I saw a man sitting alone. So I walked over and introduced myself. And I said, hi, I'm Heather Monahan. What's your name? And it turns out I went to work for him literally immediately after that. And he's the man that ended up giving me an opportunity as an equity partner at 24 years old and made me a very wealthy young lady at a very, very young age.
So join us next week, Monday, March 2nd, 2020, for the season premiere featuring 5-time TED speaker Julian Treasure, the legend of sound and communication, whose TED Talk, How to Speak So That People Want to Listen, has over 50 million views of its own.
TED used to be a place where the best place to meet people was always the queue. And when it was back in Monterey, there was a queue because there weren't enough seats for the people. So you had to go early and queue up if you wanted to get a seat in the main auditorium. And you would immediately start talking to somebody. Hey, what do you do? Well, I've just interviewed the Dalai Lama. Oh, that's a normal TED conversation,
Head to BeyondNetworkingPodcast.com and click the appropriate button to subscribe via your favorite podcast streaming service. My name's Brian Miller. This is Beyond Networking, and we'll see you soon.